Imagine a revolutionary government, after years of civil war and radical economic policies, suddenly decided to embrace elements of capitalism. Why would they do that? The new economic policy, or NEP, introduced by Vladimir Lenin in 1921, was a significant deviation from earlier Soviet economic principles. Its main features included the reintroduction of limited private enterprise, market mechanisms, and a tax in kind on agriculture, replacing forced grain requisitioning. This dramatic shift was a response to a severe crisis facing the Bolshevik regime after the Russian Civil War. The previous policy, known as War Communism, had led to widespread economic collapse. Industrial production plummeted, and agricultural output was devastated by forced grain requisitioning, causing famine and immense hardship for the peasantry. This economic distress fueled popular unrest, culminating in the Kronstadt Rebellion of sailors and workers, which starkly highlighted the need for a radical change. Lenin recognized that the survival of the Soviet state depended on stabilizing the economy and appeasing the discontented population, even if it meant a temporary ideological retreat. In practice, the NEP allowed for a mixed economy. Peasants, who had previously been forced to surrender nearly all their surplus produce to the state, now paid a fixed tax in kind, primarily in foodstuffs. After paying this tax, they were free to sell the remainder of their harvest on the open market for profit. This provided a powerful incentive for increased agricultural production. Similarly, small-scale private businesses, particularly in retail trade and light industry, were permitted to operate. Individuals could hire labor and engage in commerce, which helped revive local economies and improve the supply of consumer goods. This freedom was a stark contrast to the previous period, where private trade was largely outlawed. However, it is crucial to understand that the NEP was not a complete abandonment of socialist principles. The state retained control over what Lenin termed the commanding heights of the economy. This meant that heavy industry, banking, and foreign trade remained firmly in state hands. The idea was to use elements of capitalism to rebuild the economy, particularly agriculture and light industry, thereby creating the foundation for future socialist development. This approach generated considerable debate within the Communist Party, with some viewing it as a dangerous compromise, while others saw it as a necessary pragmatic step. Ultimately, the new economic policy successfully stabilized the Soviet economy and brought a period of relative prosperity and calm after years of turmoil. It demonstrated a willingness to adapt economic policy to practical realities, even if temporarily deviating from strict ideological purity. By addressing the immediate economic and social crises, the NEP provided a vital breathing space for the Bolsheviks to consolidate power and prepare for the long-term goal of building a socialist society, eventually paving the way for the more centralized economic planning that would follow.